Welcome back to the Marketing Science Lab podcast, everyone, and Happy New Year. It's 2025, the slate is clean, and hopefully your marketing resolutions are still intact. Sophie, did you make any bold marketing promises to yourself this year?
Absolutely, Alex. Right up there with finally understanding TikTok's algorithm is making all my marketing super transparent and trustworthy. And wouldn't you know it, our first topic of the year fits that perfectly.
Speaking of perfect timing, we're kicking off 2025 with a fascinating piece of research from the Journal of Advertising Research, published just last month. The title is A Bit of a Mic Drop Itself. That's it, how short exclamations boost the effectiveness of price communications. It explores the surprisingly potent effect of adding simple phrases like "that's it" or "period" to your pricing.
That's it. I love it. It's so definitive. Like when you're finally done wrapping all those holiday presents and you can just declare, "That's it." Pure satisfaction. But how can two little words make a difference in marketing?
That's the million-dollar question, Sophie, and this research digs deep into the psychology behind it. The authors, Mazur, Perez, and Cron wrote, "Notice this persistent skepticism consumers have around pricing. We've all been there, right? You see a price tag and immediately you're thinking, okay, but what's the real cost? What are they not telling me?"
Oh, absolutely. It's like seeing a flight advertised for $99 and knowing full well that by the time you add baggage fees, seat selection, and the air you breathe, it's closer to $300. That initial deal feels less like a gift and more like a, well, you know?
Exactly. And this inherent skepticism erodes trust and impacts purchase decisions. The researchers cleverly labeled these short exclamatory phrases as containing language, suggesting that the listed price contains everything, no hidden extras. And their findings are quite compelling.
Lay it on me, Alex. What did they discover?
Across 5 experiments, including a real-world field study with a used car dealership, they consistently found that using campaigning language significantly reduced what's called perceived price complexity. People simply felt the price was more straightforward and less likely to have hidden components.
So by saying that's it, you're preemptively calming that little voice in the consumer's head that screams, "Scam alert."
Precisely. And the downstream effect is crucial. Lower perceived price complexity directly led to increased perceived offer fairness. When the pricing feels simple and transparent, people are more likely to see it as a fair deal.
That makes perfect sense. It's like when a friend splits the dinner bill evenly, even though you only had a salad. You feel like, hey, that's not quite right. But if they clearly itemize everything, even if it's a bit more work, it feels much fairer.
A great analogy, Sophie. And the research backs this up with data. One of their field experiments involving Facebook ads for used cars showed a 17.1% increase in engagement when the ad included "that's it" after the price. That's a tangible impact on real-world marketing performance.
Wow, a 17% jump just from 2 little words? That's more effective than most of my New Year's resolutions. So it's not just about feeling good. It's actually driving results.
Absolutely. And get this, before they even tested the containing language, they found that a whopping 80% of respondents expected the final price to be higher or more complex than advertised. That highlights the deep-seated skepticism we're up against. But when they use "that's it" or "period," that expectation drops significantly down to the 70-something% range. It's about managing expectations proactively.
That's a powerful statistic. It really underscores the uphill battle marketers face in building trust around pricing. So it's not just about showing the price, it's about reassuring the customer that that's the whole story.
Exactly. And the study also uncovered an interesting nuance related to mobile purchases. The effect of containing language was even stronger when people were viewing ads or making purchasing decisions on their phones.
That makes sense. Our brains are already working overtime trying to navigate smaller screens and fiddly interfaces on our phones. Anything that simplifies the information, especially something as potentially anxiety-inducing as price, is going to be even more welcome. It's like finding a perfectly organized drawer in a cluttered kitchen. Pure bliss.
The researchers theorize that this is because mobile purchases often involve a higher cognitive load. People are trying to process information quickly and efficiently on smaller screens. Adding that seat acts as a mental shortcut, immediately signaling simplicity.
So if you're an e-commerce business or heavily reliant on mobile advertising, this is a particularly crucial takeaway. Imagine scrolling through product listings on your phone. $29.99 versus $29.99, period. That little spelled out period feels like a tiny exhale of relief for the consumer.
Precisely. It's about reducing friction in the purchasing process. Think about it. How many times have you abandoned a mobile checkout because you weren't sure about the final cost?
Too many to count, Alex. It's usually a cascade of uncertainty, shipping costs, taxes, potential fees. It's enough to make you close the app and go watch cat videos instead.
And that's lost revenue right there. So what are the practical implications for marketers listening today? How can they put this research into action as we start 2025?
Well, the most obvious takeaway is to start experimenting with containing language in your price communication. Try adding "that's it" or "period" to your ads, website copy, even your social media posts.
A/B testing is key here. Run experiments to see how these phrases impact your specific audience and product. The researchers themselves tested this across vacations and used cars, showing its applicability in different sectors.
Think about those little price tags in retail stores too. Instead of just $19.99, imagine $19.99. That's it. It's a subtle but potentially powerful way to build trust right at the point of sale.
And definitely prioritize this on mobile platforms. If you have a mobile app or run mobile-specific ad campaigns, containing language should be a key part of your strategy.
It's also about building a culture of transparency. This isn't just about adding 2 words. It's about signaling to your customers that you value their trust and you're being upfront about your pricing.
Exactly. It combats that inherent skepticism we talked about. It's a proactive way to say, hey, we get it, pricing can be confusing. We're making it simple for you.
It's almost like a marketing New Year's resolution, right? In 2025, we will communicate our prices clearly and honestly. It has a nice ring to it.
It does, and this research provides a surprisingly simple tool to help achieve that resolution. It's not about some complex algorithm or expensive software. It's about the strategic use of language.
So, as we wrap up this first episode of 2025, the message is clear. Don't underestimate the power of simplicity, especially when it comes to pricing. A few carefully chosen words can make a significant difference in how your offers are perceived.
Absolutely. It's about building trust, reducing friction, and ultimately driving better results. And who wouldn't want that for the new year?
Think of "that's it" as the marketing equivalent of that satisfying feeling of putting the last piece of a puzzle in place. Everything just clicks.
In the competitive landscape of 2025, making things click for your customers is more important than ever. And remember, the data speaks for itself. Clarity builds trust, and trust builds business. Here's to a successful and transparent 2025.